Take a good look at these two images on the screen. There is only one calendar year between these two frames. However, nothing has changed in Russia during that time. First, focus on the image on the left. This recording is from late 2024. We are in a supermarket in the heart of Moscow, where the shelves still appear to be full. A citizen is trying to quickly hide a packet of butter inside his coat. Since that day, Vladimir Putin has been telling us the same story. We are deliberately limiting economic growth, he said. Inflation is under control and a recession is not even on the horizon. He added, but now turn your eyes to November 15th, 2025. This is Yakutsk, the place where 90% of Russia's diamonds, gold, and uranium are mined. But what you see is not luxury. What you see is mud, misery, and desperate people queuing up to buy frozen meat. Don't think these two images are exceptional. When we turned our camera to the village of Ishma in the Tumen region, we encountered a dystopian war economy tableau that even George Orwell could not have imagined. The roads are riddled with potholes. The asphalt was torn up years ago and never replaced. Yet, in the midst of this ruin, there is one mechanism that remains alive. Huge loudspeakers mounted on a rusty pickup truck. This propaganda vehicle roams the dilapidated streets, blaring Victory March at full volume and calling on the people to die for the motherland. This truck perfectly sums up the current state of the Russian economy and the Putin regime. While civilian infrastructure crumbles, all of the country's resources, all of its energy, and all of its money are being channeled into propaganda and war. This is where Elvira Nabiullina, the head of the Russian Central Bank, who has been hailed for years by Western media as the Kremlin's financial wizard, enters the scene. Nabiullina set aside her famous diplomatic and technical language and confessed the terrible truth. It is now very difficult to predict the impact of the West's new sanctions. This sentence is bureaucratic Russian for we are not in control. The steering wheel is locked. We don't know where we are going to crash. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects not just one nation, but the entire global economic landscape, the implosion of the Russian economy. What you just saw wasn't a clip from a disaster movie. It was the reality on the ground in Russia, a country caught between the fiction of state propaganda and the harsh truths of economic collapse. The story Putin tells his people is one of strength and resilience. But the story the empty shelves and desperate faces tell is one of decline and despair. How did a nation so rich in resources find itself on the brink? And what does this mean for the rest of us? Let's unpack the official narrative first. For years, the Kremlin has projected an image of an economy under control. They talk about managed inflation, stable growth, and the supposed ineffectiveness of Western sanctions. Vladimir Putin has repeatedly assured his citizens that Russia is not only weathering the storm but emerging stronger. He speaks of a pivot to the east, new trade partnerships, and a future of Russian self-sufficiency. This is the story broadcast on state television, the story repeated by officials, the story plastered on billboards across the country. It's a carefully constructed illusion of prosperity designed to maintain public morale and political stability. But as we've seen, illusions have a way of shattering when they collide with reality. The problem is that an economy isn't built on speeches. It's built on production, trade, and confidence. And all three are crumbling in Russia. Now, let's look beyond the headlines and at the real-world data. The Russian economy is facing a perfect storm. Sanctions have cut it off from crucial technologies, financial markets, and supply chains. The war in Ukraine is a black hole, consuming an ever-increasing share of the national budget. Reports indicate that over a third of Russia's federal spending is now directed towards defense and security. That's money that isn't being spent on hospitals, schools, or fixing the potholed roads in villages like Ishma. It's a classic case of guns over butter, but taken to an extreme. The human cost is staggering. With hundreds of thousands of men mobilized for the war, Russia is experiencing a severe labor shortage. Who is left to drive the trucks, work in the factories, or build new infrastructure? This demographic crisis is crippling key industries, from construction to manufacturing. And then there's the brain drain. Since the conflict began, an estimated 1 million skilled professionals have fled the country. These are the IT specialists, the engineers, the scientists, and the entrepreneurs who are the engine of any modern economy. Their departure represents a loss of human capital that will take generations to replace. You can't run a 21st century economy without your brightest minds. The Kremlin can downplay these numbers, but the impact is undeniable. Companies are struggling to find qualified staff, innovation is grinding to a halt, and the technological gap with the rest of the world is widening every day. Think about it. A country that once prided itself on its scientific achievements is now facing a future where it can't even produce its own microchips or modern aircraft parts. This brings us to Elvira Nabiullina, the governor of Russia's central bank for a long time. She was seen as the steady hand on the tiller, the technocrat who could navigate Russia through any economic storm. Her calm demeanor and technical expertise earned her respect both at home and abroad. But even the best captain can't save a ship that is fundamentally unseaworthy. Her recent admission that it's very difficult to predict the impact of new sanctions was a bombshell. In the carefully coded language of Russian officialdom, this is a cry for help. It's an acknowledgement that the Kremlin has lost control. The tools they once used to manage the economy, like interest rate hikes and currency controls, are no longer working. The system is overloaded. The economic machine is breaking down, and nobody in power seems to know how to fix it. So what happens next? The trajectory is deeply concerning. The war economy might keep the military supplied for a while, but it's cannibalizing the civilian sector. As resources become scarcer, we can expect to see more shortages, higher prices, and a further decline in living standards for ordinary Russians. The scene in Yakutsk, with people queuing for frozen meat, might just be a preview of what's to come for the rest of the country. A society can only endure so much hardship before social tensions begin to boil over. The propaganda truck in Ishma, blasting victory march through a landscape of decay, is a potent symbol of the regime's priorities. It can distract, but it cannot feed people. It can demand loyalty, but it cannot pave the roads or fix the pipes. The implications for the world are huge. An unstable, collapsing Russia is a danger to everyone. It could lead to even more aggressive foreign policy as the Kremlin seeks to distract from its domestic failures. It will create ripples through global energy and food markets. And it raises profound questions about the future of a nuclear-armed state in the throes of a deep systemic crisis. The contrast between the Moscow supermarket in 2024 and the Yakutsk meat line in 2025 isn't just a story about butter and meat. It's a story of a nation's path from managed stability to chaotic decline. It's a stark reminder that propaganda can build a facade of strength, but it can never be a substitute for a functioning, healthy economy. The foundation is cracking, and the world is watching to see what happens when it finally gives way. What are your thoughts on this situation? Do you think the Russian economy can recover, or is this the beginning of the end for the current system? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this analysis insightful, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. Thanks for watching.